As children, we come into the world authentic. We come in as our true self. Who are you when no one is there? Who do you allow yourself to be when no one is there? Peeling back the layers of everything that is not in actual resonance with your true self. The being that came into this world, that came into this life, that never questioned themselves to begin with. Children do not question themselves. When did you last see a child that was sitting there thinking, I really shouldn't paint this thing because so-and-so is going to say something? So it's not about confusing the childlike state and thinking, well, children are, kind of, they're young, what do they know? People have a tendency to do that. It's not about that at all. It is really about who are you when you are not being observed. That's authenticity at the end of the day. That is how things actually behave. Because if you look at the observer experiment, what is it showing you? Matter behaves differently when it is being observed. And it is the same for us. And we have gotten to this point in the social climate, let's say, in the social experiment, where we are observed now more than ever by ourselves. So who are you when you're not observed? That is the very quick shortcut. That is the direct path to you actually stepping into authenticity. Because what is authenticity? It is expression without expectation. It is the true nature of a being. It is the true nature of energy being allowed to move for the sake of moving and nothing else. For the sake of exploration. So that is how you actually come back to your true self, and that is how you actually embody your true self, and that is what God wants for you. God wants each and every one of us to be who we came here to be authentically. And somewhere along the way, we got very, very lost. We got extremely caught up in the illusions of the Matrix. And we believed them to be more real than they actually are. We believed the illusion of the dream more than our genuine waking state, which is the eternal being. It is eternity. It is eternal. So it's very simple. And we're feeling this for a reason. It is very much part of a larger wave of consciousness exploring itself. So this is what we are all here to do. We are all here to exist authentically. Because the human experience is supposed to reflect a spectrum. It's not supposed to be flatlined in any way. That's what makes the human experience so incredible. And the only way you feel like a prisoner in the experience of life here on Earth, the only way you feel like a prisoner in your experience as a material being is that you get caught up in the separation, and you allow the separation, or the illusion of separation, let's say, you allow it to prevent you from moving in the way that you want to move. That is how you become a prisoner within the human experience. And then you will tell yourself that that's all there is. There's no beauty in life. Everything's the same. Nothing actually evolves. And I mean, there's so many ways we can go down that path. So you came here to be fluid. You came here to be all the versions of yourself that you want to be and more. Because of course, what are we asked from a young age? What do you want to be when you're older? This question is the beginning of the categorization of self. This question has us thinking in singular terms for the most part. There are many people that took this question and said, okay, they're asking about what do I want to be? What is the defining thing? If you answer this question with 3 or 4 different things, chances are you had an adult at some point say, okay, but if you had to pick one thing. So it is this restrictive, fixed, linear way of pressuring children from a young age to think about the end result. And so begins the process of self-censoring. There are so many aspects to you. There are so many facets to you. Just allow yourself to exist in your multifaceted nature, accepting it for what it truly is, and allowing yourself to be whole, to know that you are inherently whole. You have always been whole. The conditioning, the layers of conditioning made you believe that you weren't whole, and therefore you always search for things outside of yourself. So this journey of authenticity is really the return back to self, the true self, the one that never abandons themselves. That is what this whole journey of authenticity is. It is coming back to the self. It is the return home. And it is what so many of us have wanted for so long. And in a sense, it is the thing that is going to save many of us in ways that we don't even realize. We think in terms of these definitive models. We think, you know, peace and love, that's what's going to heal everything. But the highest frequency is authenticity. That is what God wants you to be. That is the truest version of yourself. And with that, by default, we live in a more authentic world. That is actually what we all crave. When everything is functioning authentically, there is natural coherence occurring because there isn't the repressing of energy that wants to be expressed. So everything starts flowing in natural coherence in ways that the ego could never actually create. The ego, for the most part, is the filter through which we censor ourselves. And so we're also coming into a different way of being in harmony with our ego. Understanding how, yes, it can help us, but how it can also create division, how it can create fragmentation. And it's always about coming back to wholeness. That's what this is all about. So, yeah, God wants you to be authentic. He made you in perfection. Your authentic self is your perfect self. So, live from that frequency. Live knowing that your authentic self is perfection. And watch how you start actually living the life that you've always wanted. Let this be the moment that you give yourself the permission to be who you actually are. Every single time you censor yourself, you don't allow for the person that needs to experience the true aspect of yourself. You don't give them that experience. You don't give them that opportunity. So in many ways, you rob others of the experience they're supposed to be having with you. Which is why when everything flows authentically, that is the divine plan. That is the divine design.